Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the weekly check-in for this weekend, an exciting weekend. For me, it's an exciting weekend because the Endeavor, I I can't speak positively enough about how excited I am about what's going on with that. I trust me, for me, at least, it's a good thing. And I've got some topics to talk about with my list in this. I want to just level set the topics I'm going to be sharing. The reason I think that they matter, it has to do with where we are overall. And I'm going to be flip-flopping between showing nothing versus showing the content because I'm testing a new flow with this business. Without further ado, I want to quickly talk about where we're at today, and then I'll get into my different bullets here. So here's where we are in terms of price using Ethereum as my guide. Now with Ethereum, I have said and I maintain this stance that I don't believe Ethereum can go too much further down beneath where it has been. I think it's in a good spot. I think it'll continue to be in a good spot. I don't think we're going to see the crap out that many people have expected from Ethereum because I believe in my own assessment that Ethereum is a little bit too ubiquitous to fail. It's kind of like banks at this point, mostly around what they're doing with sentiment. Sentiment is strong in smart contract, but also buy the rumor, sell the news is kind of sustaining things. Let's say that, the idiot Vitalik fails. Let's say that everything crashes and burns. Let's say that they get it completely wrong and this thing just crashes. I believe in that situation. If they completely botched it, we're going to see some dip. People will sell off because they're not sure, and it still won't go below $1,200. I'm on record because I'm on video. I don't believe, even if they're the absolute bona fide definition of a screw up, I don't believe Ethereum will go beneath $1,200. It would have to take, this idiot Gensler or somebody in the government going out and saying something to crash the business as they've been doing. To me, that would be the only time, in my opinion, that I would see that we go significantly lower than a certain threshold. That's not to say it won't go down. It could go down. I just don't think it's going to crap as people have speculated. Speaking of crap, is it true that Luna Classic crapped? I don't say that it has. I say that Luna Classic is doing a necessary correction and the price is moving in the correct direction for future success. It did go slightly down. It's still on an upward somewhat trend. People are now kind of consolidating and getting some sanity back in the space, which is good. I believe it's necessary. I also think the more people that sell out versus the people that buy in, if you look at the buy-sell trend, we are seeing a downtrend in buys. This could mean one of two things. Either people are waiting out the storm of the sell before they buy back in. Could be that they're waiting to see what's going to happen with Terra Rebels and the burn. Because remember, the burn, at least the implementation of it, is supposed to happen next week. And then it'll take some time for it to hit those blocks. Then it was Binance.com, CZ Binance, initially saying we're not going to do the burn for anything that is off-chain, which is the vast majority of traffic. Because if you didn't know, Binance.com holds the vast majority of tokens for Luna Classic. Thus, any of the traffic consideration is funneling through them. If they don't do it, you wouldn't see a significant movement or shift as you might expect in the price as a result of said burn, because they're holding the bag. They recently came out and said, okay, we're rethinking that and we'll look at it again. And if it looks like it makes sense and it's non-disruptive, we'll go ahead and make this change. I call that a little bit of Chewbacca. Regardless, I'm optimistic that Binance.com will do the right thing. I have no inside knowledge. I can't say for a fact, but I'm optimistic they'll do the right thing. They said that it was because the proposal didn't say, well, you didn't say all, you just said on chains. That's what we did. they knew what people wanted because CZ Binance himself came up on Twitter and said, we understand you want to have a burn across the board and we support that. And during the whole fiasco, he was the one that was talking about burn as much supply as you can. It's all okie doke. And that's why I want people to understand all of this is sketchy business. The whole thing is sketchy business. Everything in the industry is sketchy. There's shady crap, almost cussed, bona fide cussed crap going on. It's all the same thing. They're all in it. There's nobody who's on your side. There's nobody who is your friend. There's nobody who's there looking out for you or trying to make sure you get rich, all the way up to the most popular people, which is why, and I'll get to this later on, with that business of Leica that I covered on YouTube, I said when that person called out, you shouldn't be worshiping these founders or whatnot. That's what we're talking about. Everybody worships CZ Binance, even though he is now basically proven he's not on your side either. And that's why you shouldn't just do this blind worship of these people. They're not your friend. They are profit driven like everybody else. They can pretend like they're the nice, cool cats. No, they're not. They're not on your side. Now, if you still support them, irrespective of them stabbing you in the back, that's cool. It's a business at the end of the day. That's what cryptocurrency is. So now, spinning back over to Ethereum, less Ethereum and more on the Cardano ADA, we saw that there was significant disruption specifically around, as I called out, Bitcoin separately, but Ethereum went up ever slightly. It's been wavering there. Cardano went up slightly. It's been wavering there, and then people were wondering what the heck is going on. There were some statements made. I'm simply going to cover the statements, not spending a lot of time on it. The statement was made that it's possible that some of the disruption that we're seeing and some of the uncertainty of cryptocurrency is a symptom of the strengthening of the United States dollar. In other words, that because the Federal Reserve is trying to stop printing as much as they were printing and kind of get some corral around this and control inflation, that might have lent itself to the cryptocurrency going down. And people were kind of like, what are you talking about? Why would there be a correlation? In 2021, there was excessive printing, not as much as late 2020, but there still was excessive printing. With the war and everything else, there's been billions sent overseas. Most of that wasn't printed money. It was redirected money that had already been printed. We know that money that goes to wars, though, is likely not going to be recouped because it went to a cause of some kind. So the thought is, if they're not printing and money is not going to be as freely flowing and freely available, that it creates kind of this constraint, that it tells people that they should hold or hoard the funds as opposed to willy-nilly spending it, even though it's kind of okey doke. There's not much to it. There's not much fundamental to this. The background about why this happens is simple. If you take in general scarcity logic, if I have a scarce of something and there's demand for that something, there's going to be a rush to it. We see this every time after Black Friday with parents trying to rush to get toys for their kids and all this kind of stuff, simply because it's a scarcity, an artificial scarcity of some asset. When the dollar then becomes, quote, scarce, of course it's not, but quote, scarce, and there's less of it flowing around and less of it available, the theory is that it creates strength in the distribution of dollars that is available, but then people that get it, they hoard it. They hold on to it and they don't want to spend it, meaning they toss it into savings. They want it to be stable. They want it to be protected and largely insulated from any potential disruption, especially high-risk assets like cryptocurrency. People speculated that this is what was disrupting Ethereum and to a lesser degree, Cardano. I can't say for a fact that was or was not the case, simply that this was the theory that was floating around various outlets, especially this one here. It wouldn't surprise me. Let's put it that way and leave it at that. Given this, then I looked at all the assets that I follow, every single one of them, and the same mainstays remain there. In fact, I have not actively invested in anything new because I can't really trust any of the ones that are launching. They seem like they don't have a plan, no game plan, no strategy, no strength, no fundamentals. They're just all kind of, it's like hopium. It's like, okay, it's bare, so we'll put something out there, just kind of test the waters. Tipping your toe into it, I understand, doesn't work for me, brother. And so my portfolio has been largely unchanging. I have put more, into different projects. I have DCA'd up, but I have not invested in new projects as of this point, primarily until I see fundamentals, strength of what they're doing, have not done to date. You will notice in any of my videos, I would largely say any but one, maybe, there's a certain visual that I have. My visual is different than largely any of the other ones. That's because I'm a podcaster. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm a podcaster. That's why my flow and cadence is what it is. And others are what theirs is because they're a YouTuber and their entertainment value is within the scope of YouTube, no problem. Mine is a podcaster by nature. However, I also have visual presence that I've now created. And even what you see still isn't my 100%. It's like 98%. I can't get to 100% while I'm still in Vegas. So I have created this presentation primarily for the purposes of attractiveness, right? Attractiveness of the person that is speaking to you. Obviously, the messaging is important, but you do want to be watching somebody that has at least some common sense, dress sense, most importantly, and ideally the ability to communicate. I can go down the list of the numbers of channels I watch or not watch, but I skip, where it's always the same thing. And it'll sound something along the line. And I'm not exaggerating when I say this. It'll sound something along the lines of, what's up, YouTube? I want to do a little bit of video here and talk about a couple of things. I saw this on Twitter and I can't stand it. I understand. There's some people, communication simply isn't the strongest point. I got it. But I do think you can practice some of this using the mirror logic, if nothing else, and get to some level of delivery that's comfortable for you. Because the whole point is to engage the audience. That said, I don't do cut editing because I think it's nuts. I can't stand the cut editing. Cut editing is, it sounds like this. What do you, their heads shifting and all that. Can't stand it. I can't stand that Zoom and the Zoom. Can't stand that crap either. I don't do the gimmicks. I just talk, right? And then again, style presentation. I don't need to flash the muscles like a certain unnamed other person. I don't need to come across ASMR like a certain other person. I don't need to do video out at the beach like some other people. I don't need to do all that. I just, talk, right? Communicate. Well, there's attractiveness. As important as it is, everybody is attracted to something different. So everybody has a gimmick. Everybody that you will watch or listen to has a gimmick, and I celebrate those gimmicks. There used to be the song, and it used to be the thing, and people old enough listening here will have heard at one point that every girl's crazy about a sharp dressed man. That's no longer the case. Now it seems like most of the younger women, when I say younger, right, I'm talking between, mid 20s to 40s. But most of the younger women, they like the skinny pants, the dudes that, they don't squat and they look like sticks and they dress like bums, like the idiot Vitalik. He dresses like a bum despite being one of the richest people around. Well, I was excited when I read that apparently women are coming around. They're getting sick of some of you crypto bros dressing like bums, and they want to actually date guys that look attractive and look something like whatever. And they made some observations about how some of these people are stereotypes. Quote, a person with a weak grasp on cryptocurrency applications yet has a strong formed opinion on the best ones is known to have committed at least a few of the biblical seven deadly sins: pride, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, wrath, and sloth. Quote, he is the sloth because the goal is to be rich, not look rich. I need to look back at you before I go on. I love the statement. Quote, he is the sloth because the goal is to be rich, not look rich. As in, all you care about is to the moon, deep, 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 and let's fuck down. That's all these crypto bros care about is the money, despite the fact that none of them look like they're worth a damn. And so now the women are finally saying, it's all good that you have ambition. Ambition's fine. But if you look like a bum when you're doing it, what really have we solved? Probably nothing. I love it. Quote, he is greedy because he's always tweeting about coins going to the moon, deep, deep, deep. You just heard that one. Quote, he's a gluttonous 20-something party goer, always overindulging in the open bar. Of course, Leicester, found here at cryptotalkradio.net, happens to be straight edge. Leicester does not imbibe or binge or partake in any of these illicit things that some of these crypto bros party in. And I listen, they can do whatever they're going to do. I understand. I don't do it. It is what it is. Quote, he's wrathful, always seemingly able to start a fight on crypto Twitter. Listen, if you're on crypto Twitter, you know the kind of person that statement is referring to. You can probably call out specific names of specific Twitter people who actively start fights on Twitter. They actively do it. They always do it. They can't avoid it. It's a gimmick. It's a gimmick. They're doing it because they know drama, controversy creates cash. Eric Bischoff, check the book out. That's why they do it. They don't do it because they think that they truly think they're right. They do it because they know that drama gets hits, drama gets traffic, drama gets attention, and you are giving them exactly what they want to do, which is attracting the bad crowd. This is the toxicity I refer to. Quote, lastly, he is proudly displaying an NFT in his studio apartment that he claims to be contemporary art, which he loudly bought for six figures when his favorite celebrity quietly changed the profile picture to a cartoon monkey. I am going to call this one out, folks. I'm sorry. I got to look at you because, listen, you know exactly who that's targeting. You know who they're talking about, especially that last part. Change their profile picture to a cartoon monkey. How many people do you see on Twitter that change their profile to a cartoon monkey? How many people do you know on Twitter that go absolutely nuts over NFTs and they treat them like contemporary art? How many people do you know? How many people have you seen that go nuts over this business? And of course, if you were to see photos of them in the wild, as it were, they look like bums. Let's be honest, man. Come on. Quote, yes, these sins can be found in every human being in every industry, but why is it so prominent in crypto? And then, of course, we found some software engineers. These are women in technology, and they dated so-called crypto bros. So what we did here is we said these people were dating or engaging, I should say, with people that were in cryptocurrency, but these are software engineers. Quote, a New York software engineer met up with a 23-year-old Ivy League dropout Web3 startup founder from the West Coast. Do you know that the whole trend, right, of let's say my parents were stinking rich and they sent me to an Ivy League school and it wasn't cool for me and I thought it sucked and I want to make my own way and I want to be my own boss and, you know, I don't like this and I'm going to do my own thing and I'm going to rebel against my parents. You've heard the story before. Quote, she went in for a, quote, casual business meeting. He thought it was a date. The romance blossomed from there. Do you understand how contradictory the sentence is here, right? That apparently you have this software engineer, right? This software engineer had met this startup founder, presumably hired, right? This startup founder, of course, is the boss and is dipping his pen, intentionally dipping his pen in the company ink, but put it under the premise that it is a, quote, casual business meeting. Casual business meeting, for those that don't work in IT, and trust me, I celebrate you for not working in IT because it's a terrible business. Casual business meeting means they probably went out for drinks at some bar under the auspice, and it's all common. It's all of them do it, right? You're a guy and you run a business, or you're a manager, you're a director, and you invite your subordinate out for drinks, and you call it a meeting to talk about some project or something else. Really, what you're trying to do is get in that girl's pants. That's normal. Any female who works in technology will attest that they've been invited at least once to one of these things. Now, here's my full disclaimer here. I've been a manager on multiple occasions. Under never circumstance have I ever invited any subordinate out to anything outside of the framework of the business, as in never to any drinks, never to anything. And the closest I ever came was a business analyst / project manager, where I offered to buy her a coffee and we walked down to the coffee shop in public in thanks for getting the project successful. That was the vast majority of what I'd ever done, because it's dangerous to be dipping your pen in company ink. Now here, because it's a startup, he knew he could get away with it because he ran the business and didn't think that she was going to squawk at it. And apparently, quote, he was charming and charismatic, and most importantly, investors loved him. But the software engineer, not so much. They apparently started the romance, and he was a charming guy and charismatic, and she fell for the charms and the whims. Of course, the charms are phony, fake nonsense. Quote, he was invited to a lot of very upscale events with potential investors, she said, but he always traveled solo because these parties always came up at the last minute. They tended to be in Austin, Texas, Puerto Rico, or Atlanta, and they always happened to be on a yacht. Here's the story, the untold story. The Austin, Texas thing. Austin, Texas is kind of it's a hub for a lot of big business because a lot of them migrated from California because California's cost of living is BS. Puerto Rico, of course, is Puerto Rico. It's beautiful. Atlanta, GA is a party central. Welcome to Atlanta. Almost cussed. Welcome to Atlanta, MF, where we don't play. You know, that's what it is. And the whole yacht, that's what people do when they want to be boss, is they'll get a yacht. Usually it's not theirs. They'll get a yacht, get a bunch of rich people on this yacht, sail out off and just make whatever illicit deals. And then, of course, sleep with whoever. Quote, but he didn't mind all that traveling, she said. These, quote, business trips were financed by his dad, his de facto angel investor. His dad really wanted him to go back to school and get a corporate job, she said, and that created a lot of tension for them. Listen, what this person's describing is probably a very specific, unique, finite, targeted experience that is probably not widespread. I doubt that it happens to all of them, but it is common. What it's saying is, you know what? He got his parents to pay for him to do all these networking events. So you're this startup founder, Web3 startup founder, but you're not making enough money to be able to do this on your own. And then you're milking from your parents to be able to floss. That's really what we're talking about here. I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. Quote, I'm not really interested in dating a crypto guy ever again. Quote, working a traditional 9-to-5 and no experience in crypto. This is the girl. She couldn't sympathize his skewed outlook on money or with the fact he had never had a wage earning job. This guy went to an Ivy League school, again, likely milking from parents, presumably to get him positioned for corporate success, chose not to go into corporate America, simply did this startup because everybody else was doing it. Quote, and the cherry on top, he would wear very cheap clothing. He put in no effort, she said. It was supposed to be a power move. The power move comes from this narrative that just because you're looking cool, like you look like the cool kids, that it's going to appeal to the people who have the money. And you notice all of them do it, right? All of them in crypto, they all look like bums. And nobody cares because they're successful, presumably, or the opinion of success, the appearance of success, the presentation looks like garbage. That's what she's saying. There's multiple of these that just went on and on and on, where these women encounter some guy who's in cryptocurrency, looks like a bum, straight out of some college that could have set him for corporate success, and instead drop out, spin up a business on crypto just because everybody else is doing it. And then the women find out, you know what? Hey, these dudes ain't worth a damn thing, and I'm wasting my time with this business. And listen, everybody in cryptocurrency now, what you're doing is you're turning women off, frankly. There's women in cryptocurrency. There's tons that are in cryptocurrency that don't care, and they're attracted to these bums in crypto. So I'm not suggesting that you have no hope at all of dropping draws. I'm saying the vast majority of women outside the crypto bubble are tired of you looking like bums, at minimum, that you don't present yourself like a professional, that you don't present yourself like somebody educated, that you don't present yourself like somebody who wants to be rich. You just say you want to be rich, don't dress like you do, because you want to appeal because you saw Vitalik walking around looking like a bum. If that's what you want to do, bro, great. I'm just saying, women are getting tired of that crap, and I'm strongly recommending that you don't continue falling into that trap, because as we would learn later, and this is My highlight of this episode, I covered a token, Leica, on the ERC. It was requested by a listener. It was a pleasure covering the token itself. We had feedback from some of the people in the project. I took the feedback. I'm happy to chat with them if they'd like to chat with me. We need to do it through a forum, and I'm happy to help them if they're serious. But this request spawned a deep dive into what was going on, and I challenge you to go look at that video and listen to what I covered. There's no video on it because it didn't need to be, but I do request that you check out that video about Leica that I just did this past week. I went into detail about this Medium article because the Medium article is it's the gold behind the coverage. I'm not going to go through it again. What I want to do is refresh what I said because some may have misunderstood what I said. What I was not doing is trashing the coin as in the contract. What I'm doing is I'm interpreting, because I'm really good at this, what this person said on this Medium article. This person was not leaving you with this sense of optimism. This person on the Medium was trying to give you a warning. They were trying to warn you about a pattern of behavior, a pattern of ripoff, essentially, and sneaky dealings that are designed to position to get you ripped off, using Leica as another of multiple that have ripped people off in the past. I wanted people to understand the whole reason that this person wrote it, and kudos to them for not being straight up. They were straight up top, but in terms of Leica itself, they were very sneaky with the way that they described this. What this person's doing is they're trying to warn anybody considering getting into Leica. Leica is one of these that is the same thing that has happened with multiple other projects that was designed to basically entrap you into another ripoff. When I covered the chart, I showed it's a pump and dump pattern already. The profit's already been taken. I said that getting on MEXC with this many holders and at this early stage, literally days after the thing launched, means you had some shady business under the hood. This person was trying to warn everybody, specifically here. We're trying to warn you, if you want to get in it, it is what it is, but it's like caveat emptor. You're on your own in what it is. It's not going to go any further than what it is. And if you choose to get in it, great. That's why they say good luck. I'm saying the same thing. The way I read this is this person has inside knowledge about what it was intended to be. It was intended to be garbage. It was intended to be kind of like a fly trap in a way that you can position people to rip them off again and again. They'll spin up another one, spin up another one, spin up another one, go and keep ripping people off because you're just enticing off of the hopium around the low price coins. The community for Leica is trying to get back to some level. What I said there is, I don't see you're going to succeed, because if what this person's saying is the truth, that ultimately you still got these bad actors involved, your only hope is to decouple from them completely. That means you're going to have to get to a V2 or something else that gets you away from those bad actors. Because if they're still involved in this project, that's what's creating the risk. It has nothing to do with any of the tokenomics, because there are no tokenomics. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't have any fees. It doesn't do anything, no reflections. It's just a generic token, which normally wouldn't be bad. But because of the bad actors this person's implying might still be involved, it means you're never going to get to a point of profit. You're always a form of exit liquidity. That's the point that I was making here. So as I watched this and read this and saw the graph and everything else, I made the analogy to Pitbull on the Binance Smart Chain. Pitbull token was abandoned by its developer at one point, no problem. And if this was the same thing, no problem. It's just that with Pitbull token went through extreme amounts of detail to completely decouple from its past. Pitbull token got to some success, but it hasn't gotten past that hurdle because of what happened in its past as well. So it's going to have to say struggle, but not to the degree that this would have. This one is, I think, the greater risk because of its past. How do you get away from the past? I don't have that answer. I'm saying, I think right now, I wouldn't personally recommend it, but of course, it's up to you what you choose to do with this business. The other thing I want to cover, in one of my previous lives, I had a person or two people come in and they were asking me my thoughts about a token I think is garbage, but they were asking, so fine, we'll do coverage if we see a thing, no problem. And it's around Pulse Dogecoin on the Ethereum chain. And Pulse Dogecoin, the whole impetus behind this business was, hey, we're starting this up, and if you're on the Pulse chain when it comes out, you're going to benefit because we're going to do basically a free airdrop of this Pulse Dogecoin. So I checked out its comments because I wanted a good laugh. I needed a good laugh. And Cult, one of the many, of course, is supporting the Cult ecosystem. Now, the interesting thing is apparently there are some people in the Cult ecosystem that support Hex and Richard Hart and everything, and some that don't. This person says, quote, Pulse Dogecoin has a totally douchey founder who thinks he's some kind of superhero. Big PP says, quote, and Cult is down for everyone, where Pulse Dogecoin is up for nearly everyone and only down 50%. For the tiny few that actually bought the top, Pulse Dogecoin is a meme coin, but Cult is the actual meme of a token when utility, when it's in fact a hedge fund with hundreds of portfolio managers that all know nothing about markets. That's why they're all in the red, except the few that got free coins. This is what I want to ask about or talk about and do some analysis on. I don't know if it's accurate to say, but I'm curious because I like what they're implying, at least, that actually this is nothing more than a hedge fund. Is it truly a hedge fund? Maybe, because as the model described, at least for Cult DAO, that could fit possibly. I said viral marketing because we talked about put stickers all over things and tell people about the thing. And the number one rule of Cults, talk about Cult, great, no problem. I was watching it and saying, I understand and cool. I'm not really a fan, but everybody's entitled to do whatever they're going to do. For me, it didn't really work out. So I'm curious, anybody that's in, even Cult, I want to smoke, anybody in Cult or Pulse, anybody. I'm curious about this whole hedge fund analogy. Anybody who's in Cult, describe that for me. Is that really what it is? Is it truly a hedge fund at the core? And then the second part was intriguing. Hundreds of portfolio managers that all know nothing about markets. Now, because think about it. If the truth was that all this money is used to invest in all these other projects, that is very analogous to what they're describing there. And is that the reason why it's crapping? Because it is crapping still. Is that the reason it's crapping? Is because these idiots don't know what to invest in to actually make it successful. Now, because I just went off the fundamentals of their site, which suck, I didn't go deep into what the people are actually doing with the money. I figured because they present it and say, yeah, the money goes to great projects and these, the guardians or whatever, they decide or whatever. And I didn't go any deeper than it. So I didn't know if it actually is what they're saying it is, or is there some problem? I don't know. I'm curious. I'm legit asking. I don't know what the true answer is on this one. I'm watching and seeing, what the heck's going on with this business. If it's true, I don't know if it is, but if it's true that yes, this is what it truly is, and this is what they're doing, and this is how it works, and everything else, okay, well that would concern me. I guess I should say, it would concern me greatly, and I would be curious to know long term, big picture, right? Big picture. Is this a problem? In other words, is what they're saying even an issue? Obviously, the price movement is not what anybody wants. That's number one. But number two, big picture, I'm talking long term. If the people involved in this are allowed to invest in crap project after crap project to crap project to crap project, is that a problem from a financial solvency perspective? And I challenge the Cult community to really answer that question for themselves. It's not for me to answer. Answer for yourselves. What is really the enforcement for bad investments? And when you're basically wasting or burning people's money, what's the break point there? And how do you get back to a level of general solvency? I'm not presenting a solution. I'm saying that I think somebody should have that conversation with somebody else to solve it. I would hope, because I would hope you didn't really want this business. But again, I'm not in the ecosystem. I'm not in a position to say, thus I'm not going to posit a solution, yay or nay. I'm just simply saying that this feels like a problem from my perspective. So I have one last topic, and I saved arguably the best for last because there were a number of different things that came out above or from this. So with everything that's going on right now, we are seeing some disruption still with Bitcoin. However, it's trying to push its way up. We're seeing disruption with Luna Classic, but it's trying to push its way up. We're seeing disruption with Ethereum, but it's trying to push its way up. What we don't see is strong bull run, strong bull sentiment. I'm going to put out a theory to you. I think people, the right people, are waiting to see what November is going to look like. I think the right people are waiting to see if November is going to get them to a point of, correct the issues, get away from the problems caused by the current administration. I believe they're waiting for November. I believe they're waiting for to see if there's a blowout, as people expect there to be. If there's going to be a blowout in November, we have to see what that means. We have to see what that means for the entire industry overall. We have to see if we get back to common sense, because that's been missing, sadly, sorely lacking for sure. We have to see if finance, as in people's individual money, not government, not business, but individual, is put back right what once went wrong, to quote Quantum Leap. And most importantly, we have to see if the people in charge of the SEC and the CFTC are allowed to go rogue in cryptocurrency regulations. If they're allowed to go rogue in cryptocurrency regulations, I think people aren't sure what that means. There's a theory that some of the cryptocurrencies out there are going to be directly attacked, directly criticized, and there's going to be some problems with them because they're believed to be securities. And Gary Gensler, the SEC, has made statements that lead people to believe that, in his mind at least, pretty much every crypto out there is a security. I can tell you from my experience on it, not everyone fits the Howey test, but the vast majority do. And that's by design, because we've turned it into a form of fiat, which is not what it was intended to be. It was intended to be its own type of currency for the purposes separate from what fiat was doing. And we've unfortunately gone the wrong path and set things up for risk. That risk, I believe people's perceiving this is going to be a problem, and we're not going to go in this because we're not sure if it's safe. We're not sure if it's going to sustain, and we think there's going to be problems trying to get this thing done. Getting to the point where cryptocurrency is accepted, embraced. The El Salvador experiment being an abject failure, which everybody knew was going to happen, is further evidence that no matter what you do, you're never going to get to the point where you can replace fiat. I've said that. Others disagree with me, and they're free to disagree with me. I'll say it. I'm on video. I'm on record. You will never get to where you can replace fiat. It's never going to happen. I don't care who says. You will never replace fiat, ever. You cannot do. Because unfortunately, fiat is intertwined with everything that we do and everything that we are. And more importantly, people want to get paid in something they can transact. Transactions are not there yet. You won't get to, with the volatility we're dealing with, you won't get to a world where everybody's paid in Bitcoin. You might get to a world where everybody's paid in a stable coin, but that stable coin is still going to be pegged to fiat, because that's the only way we know to do it. Fiat is going to always be there. I'll make the statement. And let history judge me. We'll never get away from it because we've tied crypto to it. If we hadn't tied crypto to it, the world that we described and Mr. Segala described could absolutely have been a thing. But we've tied it to fiat, and then we've caused essentially the decline of this business rather than a rise to a new world, a better world, a cleaner world, something better than what we currently have. And that's sad. It's really unfortunate. But it doesn't surprise me. It totally doesn't surprise me. Time will tell. And again, if I get it wrong, time will tell. And time will tell what happens in November. Do we get the blowout or do we not get the blowout? And we'll have to just wait and see over time what happens. That's all I have as far as topics. If you have questions directly of me, feel free to leave them in the chat, either here or on Twitch. And once again, Twitch remains more awesome than YouTube. If you couldn't tell, YouTube was squawking the entire stream that it couldn't keep up for whatever reason. I don't know if that's just my beast mode computer, but it wasn't until the tail end that all of a sudden it says, okay, we're happy, but I don't know exactly why it was having a problem before that. So if there was any sort of issues during the stream or anything else, this will be uploaded as a static video with corrections if that happens, or if it looks fine, I'll just think YouTube is stupid because Twitch worked fine. Questions though, feel free to leave in either chat and I will get you answers, or if you don't get this till after the fact, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I will get you answers that way. If you have follow-on questions or curious about any other topics or curious about the material or interested in the approach or simply you just want to learn more, feel free to join us in our Discord channel. CryptoTalkRadio.net/Discord will get you there. I'm building a growing community that I refer to as the Triad. We just launched the new member experience for the Triad, official Triad members today. And we ran into some technical hiccups, but overall, I visually like what it's doing. We just have to make it do exactly what I want it to do, and we'll get there over time. Cool beans. I think I got to everything. Keep in mind also that our videos are available if you are sick of YouTube like we are. Our videos are also available on BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey for your viewing pleasure and convenience. I can tell you right now that Odyssey is one of the cooler ones from a front end, back end, everything perspective. Rumble is pretty decent good. BitChute's pretty decent good. So we have it. This will post to all of those. So if you just want to get away from YouTube's garbage, like the recommended crap and all that, you can view this at least after the fact on any of those platforms as well. We also have these posted on our site, CryptoTalkRadio.net. At the top, there's a link for Leicester Live. These are the live, at least, will be posted, available. I think all of them are posted there now. Available there. If you want to watch directly on our site, you are free to. We don't advertise it because we don't do ad revenue. We're not advertising because we're a podcast at the end of the day. But if you want to dig into the ecosystem, CryptoTalkRadio.net will be your best start point. Get you to all of our different facilities off to the side. Until next week, I have a lot more topics next week around cryptocurrency as hopefully we start seeing what happens with Ethereum and what effect that'll have on Luna Classic. I will have a number of key topics that I will be covering for next week's episode to kind of dig into those. Until then, take care, stay safe, man. Don't YOLO into stuff. I know it's tempting, trust me. Don't YOLO into stuff. Make sure you keep a roof over people's heads, keep food on the table. Take care of your family first. They're most important.